you need an agenda?
Good morning, anybody out there? Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Jeff.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
First coffee. My three-ring circus isn't here to keep us all entertained today. I'm really sorry. They're at school.
We could move this meeting
Oh,
to
yeah,
the
I heard
school.
that you guys, that Tina was moving you to everybody in class.
Yes.
These meetings aren't going to be the same. Hey, Amanda, hold your coffee cup up.
Oh, this one? Oh, hang on. Other way.
No,
Yes.
no, okay. It looked like a coffee cup I was looking for and I couldn't find, but it's a different one. What does
This
that
one
say?
says, goal for today, keep the tiny humans alive.
I stole your coffee cup, Steve.
Yeah, there's a I don't know, I don't even know what the name of them are, but my wife won't let me drink out of them because we only have two and they discontinued them. So it's like, okay, well, what do we got, a kitchen or do we have a museum?
I
We'll
agree
give it
with
like
that.
2 more minutes. There's some public comment. Not public comment, but there's some people joining the meeting this morning. I see some other folks joining too. Oh, we've got Slate. But we've got some people from Bighorn Crossing are going to talk to us at 8, I think. And if they, that's so weird. Your name is Amanda Cooper too, but you don't look like me. Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Nice
I
to
don't know
meet
if my
you.
video just clicked on. Yep, I'm Ashley. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
there we go.
Yeah, okay, hi.
I was like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know why it pops up as her name, but it's oh, now it says Ashley. On mine at least. Do you want me to
Jen,
go
Katie said
ahead?
she's trying to join. Give us 1 second, Ashley. We haven't quite
Sure.
called to order. Katie
Oh,
said
perfect.
she's trying to join. She can hear us, but she can't see us.
Okay, I just have promoted her, so let's see if that'll work. And Kayleen, I'm not sure who Kayleen is.
Hi, I'm here with Slate Communications.
Okay, thank you.
And is Kyle on yet?
I don't see him.
Jen, I think Katie seems to be having trouble. I'm going to tell her to disconnect.
Okay,
Because she,
do you want me to send her a link?
yeah, maybe.
Okay,
All
I can do that.
right, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? It is 8:02 on January 6th, and we will call this meeting of Business Promotions Commission to order. And whenever you're ready, Jen, if you want to do roll call.
Okay, Amanda Cooper,
Here?
Justin Dowd,
Here.
Kevin Kuharik,
Here.
Steve Skalski is here. Paul Boat,
Here.
Jan McCollum,
Here.
Mary Smith,
Here,
Gary Haynes.
Here.
Okay, and that is everybody.
Awesome. All right, well, Jen is trying to get Katie on. We will get started. We have a pretty full agenda today. I know that there was a couple of amendments. Steve wanted to have a conversation about COVID-19 compliance stuff. Okay, so Katie's getting on. And we're-
There was one other brief agenda item for the Mustang Club that I want to bring up too. if I-
Okay. So we'll go ahead and add those 2 items onto the agenda.
Amanda, there's one other thing, and Ken might be able to give us more details on this. If the business promotions is considering endorsing any kind of tax on the upcoming ballot in spring, the hospitality tax. The deadline is mid-February, but then it has to be approved by the Board of Selectmen before it could be placed on the ballot. So
Okay.
there's a sense of timeliness. It might just be a discussion point today, and perhaps we'd still have time to,
Get it on the agenda. or
hear
Vote on it.
and then
Okay.
still be in February. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If the commission is still considering that this year, because then otherwise it'll be a while before we can.
Okay, well, we have a full agenda today, so we just need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, first things first, I know we have Ashley was going to be part of public comment. Jen, besides Ashley, do we have any other public comment today?
No,
are
we
aware-
don't.
Okay, cool. Well, Ashley, we'll go ahead and give you the floor and you can introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing down at Bighorn Crossing.
Great. Thanks, guys. Really nice to meet you all. Kevin, thank you so much for suggesting that we join this morning. I appreciate that. And Amanda, thank you for letting us as well. Creighton is on another call, but my name's Ashley Clifford. I work for Range Colorado. It's the management company that is leasing Bighorn Crossing. They developed it, they're leasing it, and it's a different company that is the one that developed it. And so what we were asked a lot of the time by our new tenants and everyone moving in is, where do we go? What would you recommend? And everything like that. And we wanted to provide a better resource for our tenants. And so we decided to create kind of like a guide to Georgetown. And by doing so, we decided to create it into more of like a perk program for people involved in businesses and the tenants themselves. So our goal, especially during this time, we're a small business and we know how challenging it can be in COVID. So I think that the perk program is a really great resource for businesses. What it is basically is that we are offering our tenants connections with businesses where you can either offer like a discount or a promotion to them. And it's kind of a great tactic. They do it in a couple resident areas down here, but it just drives business back to your own businesses there, which is nice. So it keeps supporting the town. And by down here, I'm in Denver, sorry. And so what it was really cool is some people were able to trial out like, oh, on Wednesdays we're really slow. So this brewery that I worked for, they did this with a company, and then I switched over to marketing for Range. But they would trial like on Wednesdays, your first beer is like 50% off or something. And then like Wednesday became one of their bigger days. So we just wanted to offer like a perk program and partner with businesses in the area and kind of create a bigger community from our tenants to your guys as well. So I sent out some emails to people. I have, if you want to put your email maybe in the chat, I can copy that and send you guys some more information. Really, we were just trying to do this as to try to unite the whole community, just from all the new people coming into your world. Do you guys have any questions for me about it or want to know more?
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys are doing some really fun things. And Kevin was kind enough to introduce Ashley and I via email. Do you guys have any questions for Ashley at this time about what they're doing at Bighorn Crossing?
So Hotel de Paris Museum is participating in this program. And what I decided to do was to give, because of it being 2021, a 21% discount off of our antiques and collectibles to these folks, assuming that since they're moving into a new place, they might need some housewares and decorative items. And so that was my approach. And it was very easy to participate. It's an online form. You can upload your logo. You can describe your offer. It's very quick, clean, slick, and easy to participate.
Yeah, that's what I should have mentioned as well. So in the email, there's a form. You just enter in all the information you'd like. And then on our website, once we launch this, there's an update form. So you can automatically update your offer like as many times as you want. So it goes directly to my email and then I can just populate it on our website. So on our website, we'll have like kind of like this Zoom screen, just like a little tile that's your company, about it, a link to the website, what your offer is for the tenants or for like whatever, if it's not an offer, just like whatever you'd like to include. It's not something that you have to participate in, but it's just a good free marketing resource for you guys. We don't benefit it in any way. We just wanted to kind of not just bring our tenants and just kind of connect you guys a little bit more and vice versa. And I know that businesses could always use a little additional marketing coming from a small business. So that was the purpose of it. But yeah, there's a form in there. So I will send that out to your emails, and you can, it has my direct email and contact information at the bottom. So you guys can always call me too.
Awesome. Is this something, I'm sorry, I was trying to get Katie on, so I apologize if I missed this, but who is now here with Kyle. Hooray, welcome, Katie. Is this something that's open to every business in Georgetown, and have you connected with all of the businesses at this point, or is that's still in the early part of the program?
It's still in the early part. So what I went through and made a list of the businesses that I could find in emails. I called some people to get emails. A lot of them kicked back that I found. So I can share, I think I can share the link in here as well. Actually, this might work. This link to the program in your chat, and you guys can look at it after if you want to, but I made it pretty easy to understand. So this might work.
Oh, cool.
And then I can link the form as well. So it's really easy. And then if you have any suggestions to this, or if you guys want to write, that should open the form. Let's see. Yeah, so that opens the form as well. So
Jennifer at Town Hall generally is the possessor of the master list of emails for all the business license holders in the town. And she's probably getting new information right now because everyone's updating their business licenses and re-upping them. So maybe if you want to share the link with her, and I don't know, Jen, if you.
Yeah, I see the link, and I thank you for that. And also, just so you know, on our website is a list of all the business license holders and their emails.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great.
It's townofgeorgetown.us.
Oh, great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
that.
and we can talk to later or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's great.
Awesome. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Georgetown. And yeah, we're excited for all the fun stuff happening at the lake. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great to meet you all.
And then it looks like we had another public comment, but I can't see my chat right now for some reason. So I'll let Jen do what she needs to do.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and promote. It's Deanne Powell, and she wanted to make a comment under audience business.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. And I just promoted her, so it should be coming.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Just exactly as you started to talk about that, the whole thing reloaded and everything went away for a second. I want to talk about that the personality of Georgetown is very, very important to the whole business atmosphere. And the Parks and Rec Department have come up with a plan to change Strauss Park. They have some plans down by the river or down by the lake that are just perfect. They look really good, but the one for Strauss Park will change the entire personality of downtown. And all of the businesses need to be aware of this and do some input into this project. If we lose our historical presence, our personality, if it doesn't look like Christmas market at Christmas market anymore, if it doesn't look like scenes out of the Music Man at 4th of July, people are going to stop coming here, and that's going to very much so affect all of the businesses in town. And I just want to put in a little plug that everybody should perhaps check out this plan and make some comments to the various boards, Board of Selectmen and Parks and Rec. And that's all of the presentation that I have.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning and sharing that with us. I know that the Parks Master Plan I'm not super well versed in. That's something that we all will definitely, take into consideration because it is really important to the town. And, the Board of Selectmen and the Parks Board have worked hard on that. So we'll definitely make it a point to maybe put that on our next agenda. I'm not sure what the timeline on the master parks plan is right now, but I will defer to Kent and Mary on that. But thank you for coming on and talking to us, because it is a really important part of our business community.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to know what is the timeline, because I know probably at least a year ago, I walked over and looked at the various proposals, and I will echo what's being said, although I haven't seen any recent proposals, but I'll echo the fact that we do want the park to retain the look and feel of what we're all trying to accomplish for historic downtown. You know, not that we control it, but we obviously will want to have a say in it.
One thing, the updated parks plan is on our website, on our homepage, on the townofgeorgetown.us website.
Awesome.
It's under news and announcements, and you all can look at it and give feedback. We welcome it. We're trying to spread the word about it.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
Yeah.
As far as the Strauss rehab plan, it is in the process of getting construction documents. DRC wanted the construction documents done because there's still a couple things. They gave a conditional approval, but they still want to see the construction plans before they give full approval to the plans for Strauss Park. So once the construction plans are done, they'll be presented again to the DRC as far as the Strauss. And that should be within the next month or two. We shall, depends, you know, when DHM gets those accomplished and have a set aside time for the DRC to look at it. And then we'll see where it goes from there. DRC may have additional comments as far as their certificate of appropriateness for the what happens with Strauss Park. So we'll see if something can happen this year or not. We'll just have to see.
Well, DRC is definitely a good group to keep that historical integrity at top of mind.
Part of the problem I have with the current plans is that DRC has given it a conditional approval. It's far, far too modern looking. It doesn't keep in sync with how downtown looks. It doesn't look like it's ever even seen the 1800s at all, and it doesn't even look like 1950s. It looks brand new and very modernistic, and would fit wonderfully in Lodo or Fort Collins or, you know, out at Stapleton. It doesn't fit in Georgetown, and everybody, that's my opinion. Everybody needs to take a look at it and just get the feel for it, so you know, because I'm very concerned that it's going to get okayed for some reason, and then suddenly the entire personality of Georgetown will be affected and changed to the point where we will lose business, and there will be no reason to come here if we don't have historical integrity and the feeling of, I don't know what I want to say, vintageness, old-fashionedness, the calm island of retreat that people come here to soak up that feeling. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for your comments this morning. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Moving on. We got a pretty big agenda, so we'll jump right into Slate.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Great. So I brought Kayleen Weingart on board with us here. She is our marketing manager, so we're happy to bring her on board. You guys, everybody remembers Liz. She went back to school, so she is no longer with Slate. So Kayleen will be taking on a lot of our marketing efforts for Slate. For today, I think we could probably keep this pretty brief. We just have a few questions for everybody, but what I'll do is just review what we had done in 2020 as a reminder. So we had a budget of $15,000 in 2020, and we had 4 different buckets. that we had actually utilized that $15,000 for. For the first bucket, we provided photo and video. So what it means is we start to fill your library. So we have that shared Google folder that has a bunch of drone footage, a bunch of photography, video of local business owners and activities and amenities. A lot of that has been utilized for the digital advertising efforts, and hopefully shared with the web programmers as well. And then the second bucket would be the digital advertising. And so that was our digital partnerships with 303 Magazine. So we did Instagram sponsored posts. So we reached quite a few people via 303. We did Google AdWords as well. We did Google AdWords for the Christmas market. And then we had basically a larger bundle with Out There Colorado. So in Out There Colorado, we had an article, Facebook posts, and a newsletter bundle. So we reached almost 75,000 people with that particular marketing effort. And then we also had the partnership with Colorado Tourism Office, which has been ongoing since we started working with Georgetown. That's always been a very successful partnership. So in Q3, we did an Instagram takeover. And then throughout the entire year, starting in January, we had a sponsored article in the Colorado Tourism Office for their newsletters and their website. And then we were also able to plop Georgetown in their sample itineraries as well. So usually with the sample itineraries, these newsletters go out to dozens of thousands of people, and there's usually 3 tourist destination towns that are featured, and Georgetown was one of them for 2 of the itineraries. And then lastly, we did the business outreach piece. So that is really trying to get in front of your local business owners and trying to help them with their marketing efforts. And so it's we call these craft workshops a way to kind of help everybody understand how they can fully utilize Google Business, TripAdvisor, Yelp, Facebook, and all the other social media venues to do some free or very cheap marketing. And we also did some one-on-one sessions as well. So we had done this via Zoom over the phone. So we helped some of your local business owners log on and start accounts with these with Google Business and the other social media venues. So that was 2020. We know that, everything was just kind of thrown out of whack back in the spring. So now I think, looking forward to this coming year, at Slate, we restructured how we do our marketing and how we work with our marketing clients. So with bringing Kayleen on board, she comes with a lot of years of experience. So what we would probably do is offer a different approach to our marketing efforts in 2021 if you're interested in working with us. And so what we wanted to do today is essentially just ask what your needs are for 2021. And based upon what those needs are, we can formulate a proposal to see if this fits within what you're looking for. And so, as far as our support with marketing, as we run the gamut. I know that you have someone that does the social media postings, and then of course you have Kyle who does the website programming, and we've been focusing on building the photo video archive and then all the digital advertising and paid partnerships. So, I think the best place to start is just leave it at that. Like, what are we looking to market this year? How are we opening Georgetown? When are we expecting the tourists to come back? I have some recommendations as far as marketing pushes and when people are going to find that comfortability level of visiting again. However, I think it would be good just to kind of get a feedback from everybody here. What are we looking to do in 2021? What are we looking to promote?
Awesome. Well, again, we appreciate the work that you guys did for us in 2020. And I think I won't speak for the commission right now, but I'll speak for just from a perspective. I'm not sure we know what we want for 2021. We did have a we have a subcommittee now that we had planned on meeting earlier this week that was probably going to give us a better idea of what we were looking at. And we had a hiccup with our group convening. And so I think what would probably be the best course of action is letting the commission kind of get organized a little bit. We've got most of the same members, but a restructuring of roles. And we do have a new person on our team who is Katie Rutten. She's over there. And she's the paid person for Town of Georgetown. And so she's going to be in the commission. So she's going to be a really key person for us for 2021 as far as what we're doing from a marketing standpoint and how we're getting those things out. So I think, I mean, unless anyone on the commission wants to pipe up now, I think we honestly need like a little time to regroup, and maybe we can email in the next week or so and talk about what our focus needs for 2021 would look like and what our budget looks like. If that's fair to everybody else.
I concur with that. Okay. Well, that sounds great. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Perfect. I do have one question. Do you have any, like, just so we can, from a funding standpoint, because obviously we've had some adjustments with budgets with COVID. Do you have a breakdown of what those different things cost in 2020? So we could maybe look at that from a finite standpoint and decide where our money is best spent, that you could send me?
Sure, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
We've been tracking it, but we haven't, we don't have the final results of the Q4 efforts. So
Yeah.
as we compile that, we'll be able to add that to it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. Definitely.
Okay, perfect. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, good to see everybody. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right. The next thing on our agenda was the to-do calendar, but I think that's going to be a larger discussion, and we've got some additions to the agenda. So we will move that to the end, and I'm going to let Justin take the next piece and talk about some grant funds that we received. So I'm just going to put you on the spot there, Justin. Take it away.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we, the Town of Georgetown, received last month a generous charitable contribution from an entity of $5,000 with the general direction to appropriate that to the Georgetown business owners to help them in this time of COVID. So last month we had a check presentation ceremony that hit social media and some news outlets and got us a little bit of coverage for that. And what we're doing now is to try to put together the guidelines and application process for business owners in Georgetown to apply for those funds to get them dispersed as quickly as possible. So that's kind of where things are at now. The entity that did give us this donation is someone who would like to do this on an ongoing basis. So this was kind of a trial run to kind of get things in motion and set up a partnership between them and the town. So hopefully good things in the future. And we're trying to get this all done and out the door as soon as we can.
Having mute trouble there. So the awards are very specific as far as like that they're to go to Georgetown businesses. Justin has kind of taken on like the running of a subcommittee that will help allocate those funds. The goal is to not involve a lot of members of this specific commission, because we want people to be able to apply for the funds that are on the commission, and to make it so that there is a very like clean and easy way to get the funds out as quickly as possible. So we're hoping that Justin, along with a member of the Board of Selectmen, and I'm assisting with I wasn't going to throw you into the bus, like the Brady Bunch, you're down there. And then we also have a couple people that are community at large members that are not affiliated with the commission that we are asking to join. So the application will hopefully be out, I would say next week
Yeah, I think
at the
that's
earliest. So it's pretty straightforward, but we want as many people to be able to access the funds as possible and the ongoing funds. Mr. Boat,
I have multiple questions.
go.
The first one is, did I miss an email, or is it this group that is distributing it,
No, it is
or is
the
the town?
kind of like the town. I mean,
So this commission is not part of that, right? Yes, we have some members on it.
yes, that would be, the money is in the possession of Georgetown.
Right.
Correct.
What I'm curious about is a lot of this seems to have been done, and I never received an email, and I don't think anybody else did unless I missed an email. Okay, and it seems that more than 2 members have discussed this,
Yes,
which doesn't that kind of violate
I think we're 3.
sunshine laws?
3 is what violates sunshine laws.
Okay, so there were more than 2. I'm looking at
No.
3 of you.
Mary was
Okay.
after. The person gave the money to Justin anonymously.
Okay,
I don't know who the person is. I have an idea.
well, that's fine.
But so then Justin got the money. I helped Justin figure out where the money should go. And Justin and I worked on an application. But we didn't want to make it, the person didn't want it to be a big public spectacle. So there was a check
Right, but-
presentation with Parker, but it was very low key.
Yeah, because let me put it to you this way. I have a board of directors. I get grants all the time. In order to accept a grant and pursue grants, I get permission from my board. So that step usually goes first, and then I let them know what the restrictions on the funds are, if they have any questions about those, how the funds will be distributed, what our group agreement is for the distribution of the funds, if there's something within there that the donor did not stipulate. It seems like the donor only stipulated owners or, business holders. So there could be sub stipulations that we put on it as a group, those things. So I don't just accept a grant and then just decide to do what I want with it. I accept a grant, my board has input, and then we decide what to do with it from there. And so I think a step was missed here, or unless this is the step. My second question is, did they stipulate anything beyond assistance to businesses? Because we could put secondary stipulations on that it goes toward a specific thing, unless that goes against the spirit of the donation. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And
Okay.
it wasn't intentional, and I apologize if it came across as such. The money was given to Justin, and Justin gave the money to town, basically.
Right.
And so I think that was where the agreement came through, that we didn't need to come here first, because if there was timeliness, because the money now exists and now the money can get out quickly. The goal of the discussion was to kind of tell everybody that the money's there, so that when next week this comes out, that there is a grant available to business owners, that it wasn't like this group wasn't aware that this said grant existed. But I apologize if it came across as us intentionally missing a step. That wasn't the intent at all. No, for sure. And I certainly respect, and that is something that we will be. I've never received grant funds from in this capacity, so that was my mistake, and I take responsibility for that.
Just know that I'm not bothered by it. I just want to make sure that we understand in the future that usually there are steps that we should be aware of, that we are all in.
I think
No, for sure.
steps were taken, but I've been in discussion and contact with Kent throughout this whole entire process, and I think that the town was more of the entity to be involved than Business Promotion Commission.
Justin
That's
just
what my first question
he was
was.
the conduit.
Yeah, Kent, do you want to add to that?
Well, we had asked the donor to state in writing what he wanted done with the funds. And we have not received the check here at the town as yet. I saw the little posting with
The fake check?
Parker, but we have not received it at the town as of yet. And if there was any additional conditions regarding it, we had talked with him briefly. Since he had mentioned briefly that he wanted this to be an ongoing thing, did you want to set up something separate as far as a structure so that it could be ongoing, or is this a one-time donation? And I didn't hear anything more from the donor that was involved. So once the check is received and there's some communication with the donor, then I think there's some additional, like Paul has mentioned, there's a couple additional steps to take with regarding it. So.
And so to clarify that this donation is to town, that would be a Board of Selectmen thing and not actually a promotions commission thing, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
As far as the entity for the town, right.
Fabulous. Thanks a lot.
But it's a good thing because it's more money for people to apply for.
I'm not, by the way, I think it's wonderful. I think the process is wonderful. I think the distribution form is wonderful. The fewer people, the better. I think all of it's wonderful. You know that I just like rules. That's it.
Fair enough.
Just needs a strong structure to get it done.
Yeah.
That's all.
Protects
Any
that,
other-
it protects us in the future too. That's why. That's why.
Yeah.
It's important.
For sure. And that was not the intent. So I apologize and take responsibility for missing that. The next thing we're going to talk about is the passports, which I'm going to let Katie talk about. I see Kyle.
Yeah, sorry, we're on site with a client today, so we're running and gunning
Okay.
at that for 2 seconds, but I'll get us started and then she'll
Okay.
come over. Make sure I can share my screen. Everyone see my screen okay? Cool. So first thing we have is the proof. And Amanda just wanted us to kind of show everyone what was going to be going to the printer. Most of this has been seen. So here's the cover, and then I'll let Katie pull up.
Hi guys, sorry, I had to go to the restroom.
So we're just going through over the passport.
Got it.
So here I'm showing the screen, I'm showing the cover,
Mhm.
and then I figured you probably want to go through the actual innards as well. We liked this thing that they did on the inside of the cover. I mean, it's not much, but it's not white. It's this off blue, which kind of gives it more of a passport feel. And then the inside looks like that.
Yeah, so the inside, it basically looks the exact same as when I showed you guys, when you gave us some feedback. It's just that your feedback has been implemented now. So I just wanted to let you see that any changes that we requested were implemented on the page. The only thing that you had not seen that we did build out, I believe, afterwards was the table of contents, which just kind of like guides the user on if they're looking for lodging or if they're looking for restaurants, they're compiled in one place. And the number in front of the business name is the page number at the bottom of the page. So it just kind of helps them. It's like a little more user friendly. So I don't think that was built, but we went ahead and did that just to make it more friendly for use. But each section, so we remember that there's 4 categories: lodging, restaurants, retail, and services. So each section has a like a page that identifies what's within that category. So there's a page like this: lodging, Clear Creek Inn, Rose Street Bed and Breakfast, and then those follow. So it kind of breaks it up, restaurants, and then it tells you what page. So we implemented those as well, just to try to make it as like, a visitor that's never been to Georgetown ever before friendly. So I'll kind of just go through like a quick scroll just so you guys can see how it's compiled, but not much changed from our previous discussion. So anyway, does that look good? Does anyone have any comments or anything that they wanted to ask as far as this passport getting printed goes?
Is it So are we done or can we make a suggestion at this point?
So it is in printing. But yeah, sorry. I mean,
No worries. We all had the chance before, so it actually looks really good to me. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what the final product's going to look like, but I do have it off on print. We're sorry if I repeat what maybe Kyle said when he started, but just real brief. We did get it printed and I'm waiting to hear when they'll be ready for pickup. But Amanda's mom has experience with the company that's printing and can attest to their print quality. So I really liked them. They were also the most affordable.
Yeah, they were. That's the most important piece for town is that they were the least expensive by a lot.
Well, and they were by like $600. So the only thing that well, let me think. I'm trying to remember I think that about covers it. I'm trying to remember. Give me one sec. No, we discussed that last time. So I'm just trying to make sure everyone understands all of the changes that were implemented. But I don't think anything changed as far as the design, other than the two things I mentioned, the guidelines and the table content. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, but it's just a quick look.
Does it still have the form that people fill out when we give it to them? The page, the tear out page, or the tracking component?
It's there's unique numbers on each one.
No, they ended up taking those off because it was going to cost an extra like $400.
Yeah, it was gonna be $400 to number them.
$400 to number them, and sorry, I thought I told you, but yeah, it was because they were going to do it on the outside of the passport with the gold stitching or the gold printing that they were using for the cover. And that was just like really expensive to implement. So they asked if we wanted it. And I just decided no, because we figured we can find a way to make that a little cheaper on our end. I was not aware of a tear out page. So
I think that was before you came on, and I think that one got lost. But what we can do at this point, honestly, is we could just get a separate page printed that we could put in there and then I'll stuff them. Because there was a back and forth on that way back when on the tear out page. And I totally forgot about that, Jan, when I looked at the proof. But we could get Egan to do a separate page because the tracking is really, being able to get the email is important. So we'll have Egan do a separate little insert and and then that way it'll be easier too for whoever's handing them out to just be able to get that little page out.
That goes in, a slip that goes in that's not attached. And even like if Egan, it costs a lot. Me and Kyle can probably compile something. I don't think it's going to be very complicated.
Yeah, no, that would be really easy to just put in there with some type of.
We'll talk with Egan on that tear out, just so I'm aware, because.
Just honestly, their name and their email was it. I mean, was there anything else on there, you guys? Jan, do you remember?
It was just a way to track people, and that seemed to be important when we were talking about it. So I just
no, it was, and I don't know. There was something that happened with the tear out page, and I can't remember when, but that was like back in October that the tear out page was a problem for something. It was because they had to perforate it, and that was gonna be like super expensive. And then
they're talking about an insert, so we don't have that component at this point to it.
But we could fix that super easily.
Okay.
Originally, I wanted data tracked from this, and the people brought up tear outs and all the different things. What I was talking about doing is just setting up wherever people pick it up, a spreadsheet, and then we could hand number them. Assign a hand number, and each entity that gives them out, you could do A, B, C, or D, or whatever you want to do with that.
Okay.
To just but then people brought up that it might be too complicated. And then if people at stores, they wanted to say, keep track of it, they could just write down on a sheet, A345 or whatever the number is.
Okay.
But the tear out purpose and everything else was because people were worried that storefronts wouldn't want to track data like other people. Some people wouldn't want to do it, some people would, and that's was the purpose of the tear out.
Okay.
I still think that if we're giving them out, we can just keep a numbered list that we create ourselves right in the front of the book, A345, and then get their info before we give them the book.
I agree.
Or whatever it is. And then whoever else gives them out could do the same sort of thing so we don't cross numbers.
Yeah.
And then people can just write it down if they want to participate in that data collection. I just think that it would be valuable to us.
Absolutely. No, the data is really important, and that's a really good point that you guys both brought up there. Well, they're at print currently. So we can, did they tell you when they'd be done?
I'm guessing the end of this week because we approved it, I want to say January 1st. And you know, it's 1,000 booklets and we kind of came onto their books pretty late in the season. So I'm assuming the end of this week. I was going to reach out to them tomorrow or Friday and just ask for an update.
Okay.
And then kind of go from there, but I think they're almost done.
And then so what we have to do today is vote on the expenditure. This was put into the budget. It's actually coming in significantly under what we had put in for. It was, Mary wanted it to get done so that they could get it into book it into 2021 expenses. So that because there was some, I need to ask Mary. Is Mary available?
Yeah, let me grab her. One sec.
So you can't just stop the presses for me because I realize that I missed that we're the Gateway Visitor Center and not Visitor Commerce Apostrophe S Center.
Hi. They're all over, Paul.
Just stop
it's all
it.
For you.
Just stop
it. Mary, on this.
Hello.
Hi, Mary. On the expense that we're voting on for the passport, because this is we put it into the 2021 budget. So we're voting on it for this month, or is it going into 2020 because of the Christmas market money? I can't remember what you had wanted.
Well, no, it can't go into, if it's being ordered this year, it has to go into
so it's not
2021.
Okay.
So if there's something you didn't spend in 2020, that money will roll over to 2021. We'll probably just have to do a supplemental to expend it, you know?
Cool. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. You're
Okay.
awesome. All right. So we just need a motion on this expenditure.
And let me just clarify, because I hadn't gotten an updated version, but we have a communication and I was waiting for an updated version and he just hadn't gotten back to me. So it's this 4-color inside price. Can everyone see this? I think I'm still on. Yeah, cool. So it's the 4-color inside because we decided we wanted to do the logos in color instead of black and white. So it's the $14.75. The numbering on the outside cover was for the black ink or for the gold ink, but it was only for he messed up. It wasn't for each one. It was like a template where they wouldn't change the number, which I don't understand why. I think there was just a little miscommunication. So it was actually like $500 to do the.
It was like $400 or $500.
It was pretty absurd, but the numbering insert. So that's the numberings on the 3 down here on the page. That's correct. And then the handwork, which is actually like feeding the machine with the single insert pages, is 75. That is correct. So it's the 175 and the 97 and the 75 added, which I did have on my phone, but I deleted it. So it's 1,647. That would be the correct price.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we pay for the printing, authorized cost of the printing of the passport.
Egan Printing.
With Egan Printing.
Mm-hmm.
At
this isn't a very formal.
$14.75 for 1,000 booklets plus $97 plus 75.
Yeah.
I second the emotion.
You guys are making me nervous.
Next time you have to sing that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Katie, thank you so much for your hard work on the passport. It will finally come to fruition. 2021 is looking up.
Yay, good job.
I have another quick question regarding the passport. At one point, there was discussion about me providing stamp and ink. Is that still a thing, or are we just going to let people do their own thing, which is fine? I just need to know if I need to order something.
For sure. What are your guys' thoughts on that? We could refer people to buy a stamp from you, like tell people to come.
It's really, I think.
I want a
just
cool
let
stamp from
them-
you.
If you want a cool stamp, I will fix you up, Amanda. But I'd say just let them figure out. They may have a stamp already.
Yeah,
I purchased a logo stamp.
I had gotten a couple of emails from business owners asking if we were supplying or if they could use their own. And I was saying, feel free to use your own, feel free to purchase one from Jan. And people were kind of wanting to go their own direction. So that's what I let happen.
That works.
If it's a huge deal for someone to not be able to find their own stamp, we'll figure something out for them.
Giant. Yes.
All right. So the next item on the agenda, I am going to turn over to our illustrious Board of Selectmen representative to talk about all of the nifty things that the Board of Selectmen did to assist the businesses during all of the pandemic stuff. Oh wait, that's still a thing, but recently.
So I apologize because I wasn't sure that I was going to be put on the spot for that. So I'm going to engage my partner in crime, Town Administrator Kent Brown, to help me out here. Oh, no. The Board of Selectmen did just kind of nod or tell me because I'm working off memory here. We did approve some incentives or I don't know if it's incentives, that's not the right word. Some allowances and extensions for businesses for this year as far as granting extensions on when business licenses needed to be purchased. I believe we pushed back till the end of first quarter or thereabouts, a couple of months. We extended the sales tax rebate to restaurants, similar to what the state had provided, so that you will get some money back once you show, and the town will reach out to you if they haven't already. Mary Sims will do this, or someone from town, as far as what you need to provide to us to show what your sales tax revenue is. You'll have to give us some documentation in order for you to get some money back for the restaurants for November and December at this point. And the board did say that, depending on how things go with COVID over the next couple of months, that may or may not be extended. We are issuing a credit on water bills to restaurants for 1 month, because we know occupancy was greatly decreased. And that was based off your base EQR on your standard water bill. And what am I missing, Kent? Was there something else?
We also waived the late fees for November and December for everyone, for every business, for every resident. Waived late fees. And you did pretty well on the other three. It was credit the base charge on the utility bill for restaurants and bars for December. Reimburse sales tax for bars and restaurants for November and December. And we extended the deadline for the business licenses. I'm just repeating what Mary said, but just doing it in order.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Extending the business license renewal for 2021 until March 31st. So those were the 4 actions taken by the Board of Selectmen. And one or two of those could be done for a subsequent month if it's decided that it's necessary.
Didn't they also, didn't they also prorate the business license depending on when you filed for the license? I think they were talking about that in the last Board of Selectmen meeting as well.
It was talked about, but there is a procedure within the code currently regarding that. I don't think there wasn't any formal change made regarding the business license, and we talked about the business license renewal only to March 31st regarding that.
Awesome.
So come back to us in a couple of months or at the end of this month, if things look as grim as they did the last couple of months. And
please no.
I think things are looking better. I mean, when you're down at the very bottom, anything can look better.
It's true.
So, but yeah, so that's what we did.
Well, thank you guys. And thank you, Mary and Kent and Jen, for all the hard work to get all that stuff done. I know that's extra work for you guys, so thank you. Does anyone have anything for Mary or Kent on this topic? Cool. All right. Well, Kyle, you're up.
All righty. And if it's okay, I know that I'm not looking at the agenda right now, but I know that after me was Travis, and he's not here for the meeting today. And my whole thing kind of leads right into Katie's whole thing. We're coming at this month as kissing cousins or whatever. So if I could just hand it off to her to go over events. That was a weird term to use. Sorry. But,
I think everyone was kind of like.
But if I could hand it off to her right after I go over the website.
Yeah, that's totally fine, because we, since Kyle's not here and then the marketing team, we don't really have an update. So yeah, that's totally fine. And then we'll wrap it up with the calendar. So
beautiful.
Oh, and then the agenda edition, sorry. But yeah, you guys take it away.
Okay, great. So I put my website report into the chat. You're welcome to click on it, and I'll also share my screen again. You can follow along there if you prefer. January, I'm sure that this doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. It slows down after the Christmas market, and the website reflects that. We're holding strong, which typically we see a contraction right now in terms of how much ground we're holding in search. So if we can keep it even and then get back to gaining momentum when those seasonal opportunities present themselves, then I'm perfectly happy with that. That's very healthy in my opinion. Analytics, you can see the blue line is December, drop down after Christmas market. And yeah, typical what to be expected, traffic going down after Christmas market. We see a little plateauing in our backlinking that occurred. And this was just due to a shift from us for not putting as much of an emphasis on this. This is something that's been going really well for the last few months, and we wanted to focus more on content production, and then also getting the next item live, which is the promotions feed. So this is a lot like the events calendar. And I would encourage anyone that is running any kind of promotion at this point, or doing any kind of, curbside stuff, anything that they want the public to know about. Obviously, this isn't going to, completely change your business or anything, but I encourage you to take advantage of every opportunity you have, and this is one of them that's free. You fill out the form, follow this link that's in this that's in the agenda packet, and it'll take you to that form, and you can submit it to me. I also emailed everyone, let them know, so you can look for that email in your inbox and send me your promotions. I'll be happy to post them up on that promotions feed. If you have any questions at all, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you out. In January, we're going to continue with our content optimization strategy we've been doing for the last few months. We'll be creating content this month focusing on the lake. Jen was nice enough to put together a cool little calendar of like the ice racing type stuff. So that content will be, you know, it'll include the ice fishing, the ice racing, all of that calendar of events that people can check out. And that's the idea for this month. Then obviously we have a bunch of free resources that are stacking up for businesses to take advantage of. So please refer to these reports. If you want to get a shot in the arm, hit us up on every one of these items. You know, get a featured page up, get a promotions feed listed, get a featured post on social media made, write a blog post about your business or any story related to it that we can put on the website. We would love to help with any of that. The website gets a lot of traffic. It's a great resource. It's free for you to use. And then, so that's the basic kind of snapshot of this month. So I feel like the data that we have seen over the last few months tells a very clear story. It's not going to come as a surprise to anyone. It's just that an annual event is very, very powerful. The Christmas market, we saw traffic on the website going up all the way to the Christmas market. People anticipate it. It's a tradition. And in our opinion, obviously you guys hired Katie for this kind of thing. Annual events, annual ones, are where we should be putting our focus. And the other thing that I think everyone will agree with here is that this commission is not, it can't move at light speed. You know, we meet once a month. So we need to really get out in front of things, and we can't be thinking about what's going to happen, you know, either behind us or just in a few weeks in front of us. We need to start shifting that conversation, in our opinion, to really out in front of us. And so we've been talking about that a lot. What's our next target? You know, obviously Katie presented on the whole ice jockey idea and stuff. But in our opinion, it seems like the most realistic. We can really knock the cover off the ball if we set our sights on Memorial Day, probably when we're coming out of COVID and all of that. Last year, we started talking about Georgetown days, or there were a few different kind of ideas around all of that. If we can focus on making an annual event out of Memorial Day when
when El Paso opens, museums open, businesses just see an uptick in business at that weekend. I mean, I, for one, know that Guadalajara Pass Brewing Company's anniversary is on Memorial Day weekend. So, and then there's a ceremony, Paul, I apologize, you told me about it when we were discussing Georgetown Days, but there's some sort of memorial ceremony that takes place on, So there's a lot that happens in our town on Memorial Day weekend. And for those that don't know, or maybe we had discussed it at one point, but have forgotten, last year, I believe it was Steve, Jamie Lacrosse, Kyle, myself, and Kyla Ewers, who met at the visitors, and Paul, who met at the visitor center to discuss Georgetown Days, which would be an event that takes place over Memorial Day weekend, celebrating all of the things that occur in town on that weekend. So the museum's opening, everything that we just listed, but give it some more thought and kind of revisit it. I absolutely loved the idea, and everyone else that met loved the idea. It's just things got halted, and it was a little before COVID, but then COVID definitely halted it. So I'd like to revisit all of that, and that gives us 4 meetings from now to kind of show up each meeting and give you an update on progress and anything that, you know, questions I might have, or things that we need to vote on, or things that maybe ideas that I have that need to get nixed or, you know, refreshed or something like that. So I have a general idea, if we want to kind of go forward with this Georgetown Days idea, of actionables that I can report on in February, that everyone can kind of, you know, see what I accomplished in January, discuss what direction they'd like to see me head in February, and we can kind of tweak the project along the way. But actionables for January, if everyone's into this idea, would be the weekend itinerary. So really clearly define each event of each day, what's happening, what hotels are opening. Do they want to have some sort of, museums, not hotels. Do they want to have some sort of special event around their opening, or is it Hotel de Paris is open and you may come visit, or, you know, kind of figure out, clearly define what's going on each day during that weekend with everyone in town, and make it something that's super consumable by a visitor. So you don't just have to be a local to enjoy the perks. It's going to bring people up from Denver. So what kind of things can we get going that weekend that are exciting and fun, like Christmas market or other annual events that we have that are successful? And then put together some graphic assets. So if we call it Georgetown Days or Georgetown Memorial Days, we create a graphic of some sort that is on social media, something people can start to recognize when it's coming up on our social media platforms or on our website, and they associate it with Georgetown Days, similar to Christmas market. When you see Christmas market, it's always that Strauss Park picture. It's always the horse-drawn carriage. It's always the busy bee. So some sort of graphic assets that are tied to Georgetown Days, people can start to recognize. So that's what I would work on for January, mostly reaching out to businesses and clearly defining an itinerary. But I just want to have a discussion about it, see what everyone thinks. What do you agree? Do you disagree? Thoughts?
Well, I would echo what Katie said. I was on the Skunk Works operation before COVID hit to promote whatever we want to call it, Georgetown Days, and I think Memorial Weekend is one of the highlights. If you add all the little things that are happening in town together, it definitely is a big deal. Just like Christmas market is with the pass opening and everything. And I think personally, I feel it's a safe bet to move forward under the assumption that the COVID condition will be such that we can do a lot of this. Perhaps there's still some restrictions in place, but I would go forward on the assumption that we'll be in pretty darn good shape by Memorial Weekend.
Kevin also typed into the chat, obviously something that's a big deal around these parts, Memorial Day weekend, is the borough race. Steve, I know in the past you've had contact with them.
Yeah,
I know if they're planning on doing this year.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I can follow up on that. Steve from Tommyknocker Brewery is a great resource for what's going on with the borough race, since he runs his boroughs in it. So, or Katie can do the same. I think you know Steve, right, Katie, or you've met him? Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And then if I can say one thing, for the Memorial Day ceremony, you can get a hold of, and I can help you get his number, but Troy Erickson does the ceremony part, and he's awesome. He was going to put it together for us and practically do everything last year, but with everything happening. But yeah, if you get on it, I can send you his number.
Yeah, if I could get Troy's contact information from you, Jennifer, and Steve, if you wouldn't mind sending me Steve from Tommyknocker's contact info.
Sure.
I have that too.
Yeah.
And for Troy, just it'll be good to reach out to him sooner versus later, because I know 2 years ago I dropped the ball, and I think he had a conflict at some point. I don't know if it was Memorial Weekend or something else, but I know he'll appreciate a heads up.
Okay.
So as far as this planning piece for summer, it's definitely, I don't know, how many of you were able to hear the commissioner's call yesterday? Was anybody on it? It was uplifting.
Yeah, I was on it.
Were you on it? So the tone was definitely that we're probably going to be dealing with some type of restriction for the, how do I phrase it? We're going to still be in COVID for a while, and it's going to take some time to get the county residents vaccinated. But as that outcome improves, going into summer, we all actually, you know, can do things outside and things should be much more positive for us by May. So to that end, with that discussion in mind, Memorial Day, in my opinion, is a good goal to get things moving in a big direction again. But I don't think that we should discount the idea of doing maybe a couple small promotional things, not events. We can't gather, we can't encourage gathering, but maybe some small weekend itineraries for spring break that would encourage people. We are seeing tourists. I mean, they're here. I'm sure that Paul can attest to the visitor center, and Jan can attest and Gary from 6th Street, that there's definitely some folks visiting. And I would anticipate we're going to see people for spring break. So if we could capture that a little bit and focus on the safe social distancing sort of itinerary, but putting a lot of effort into Memorial Day, in my opinion, is a good goal. But I would open it up to discussion from the rest of the commission. Kevin, you've been very quiet today. You're like pontificating with like leather bound books.
Yeah.
They're all cookbooks.
No, I think that is a great suggestion. Memorial Day, it's sort of like the reopening of Georgetown every year. And so I think it's logical. I like the idea of sort of packaging all the elements together to make a bigger impact. And like, Steve pointed out, there are lots of, groups and little things that are happening anyway, but to put some shine on it, with like a graphic, and just help people lead them through the process. That's very smart. We're anticipating opening again this year. I will tell you now that 2020 is behind us. We did have the discussion of not being open at all in 2020, but we were open safely. And so we're going into 2021 more confident than this past year. I don't think that our business model is going to change much this year. I think we'll still do just the ground floor tour with virtual tours, hopefully, of the second floor and the cellar. So what I guess I'm saying is it's going to be business as usual at Hotel de Paris, and we're going to open on, I think it's May 28th, Saturday, May 28th, I think is the date.
Okay.
So yeah,
I
we'll
love
be
that.
there.
I think what is special about the Georgetown Days idea is that we don't necessarily have to have it in a park and it's one thing going on and it's all these people in one place. There's this inclusivity of, on this day, this is happening at this location, and it can kind of spread things out a little bit. But by putting them all together, it's a bigger announcement. We're compiling everything and making one large announcement about everything that's going on, and not everyone fighting for individual attention. So
that might be an angle to help lodging businesses too.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think with all the different participants, this is a great way to promote community.
Right.
It takes all of us. And so maybe that could be part of the concept of when you come up with how you're going to promote it, is that, Georgetown is a community. I think that's what a lot of visitors enjoy about us, is that it's it has a commercial component, but it's not a commercial town.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's a community. And so I think that there's a real big opportunity here for that. And then when it comes to branding it, I'll just throw in my 2 cents, and I won't be hurt if you don't take my direction. Memorial Day, let's remember what it's about. And so maybe something that at least incorporates the American flag.
Yep.
So just a thought. A thought.
I am with you on that.
Okay. All right.
Puppies.
Say something?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, always. I'm about to approach all the entities involved. Am I yelling? All the entities involved in mountain jams to try to continue that this year.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good kickoff for that. I know that one thing that we could do is use this weekend as an excuse to do the pedestrian mall type situation just for the weekend, to figure out a way to, or the day. And please, I know that I'll be Sebastian on the pillar with all the arrows, but just to spread it out and then
Yeah.
do some of the festival like things that we'd been doing during the summer, we were at the same level in the summer. And use that as a way to say we're having a festival without having a festival, but this is what we're doing to maintain safety.
Yep.
And to keep that going. But I think that this might be a good time to start discussions, and since you're the events person, include you in those discussions for Mountain Jams and things like that. And I'll be approaching this group next month for that.
Yeah, I love
if
that.
that helps.
Can I say something? I'm sorry. So I like what Paul's saying, but I also, and Kent, perhaps this is something we put some thought into. If we're going to have pedestrian mall events and such as Memorial Weekend, I guess I'd like to make sure I understand the arrows and the detours, because I think it would be helpful to businesses on Rose Street to be able to have people make the turn before 6th Street so that they then come up Rose Street, from that direction and drive through downtown. So not only can they see a vibrant pedestrian mall happening to their left and to their right as they're crossing the intersection, but they can pass by the jerky shop. Hopefully, Ron Grady's doing something with his building and the brewery and all of that. And otherwise, they're going, up Argentine. They're turning left past the post office. Then they turn right. Then they go past the businesses on Rose Street. They never see them. They may see the brewery if they come up 5th Street to then get back on Rose Street. Anyway, I think there's a good opportunity, Kent, to really hone the signing and detour program before we do that again.
Really fast before it feels like we kind of are naturally falling into going to the 2021 to-do calendar with this discussion. So if we can move that, unless you have anything else for your events coordinator update, Katie, really quick before we continue on this discussion.
No.
Okay. So we'll call this that we're doing the 2021 to-do calendar discussion, since that's kind of what we're already doing. Yeah. And then we can kind of just continue the conversation. So as far as the kickoff being Memorial Day weekend, with maybe, like we said, some smaller itineraries that are low key, not gathering focused in March for spring break for guests. And then if I was going to open it up to Jan and Gary to discuss what their thoughts for summer and to do and all of that, celebrating the opening of Georgetown again.
Can I just make a point that
I apologize. Yes, I was supposed to come back to you.
It's all good. It just kind of goes through to it. And I just wanted to, because I lose my thought. With regard to all this, I think that this is time, and especially since we have such good people working with us, to look at, like Kevin just said, he was talking about wayfinding. I think we need to look at visual marketing, our collateral for that, whether we're doing some main event signs and large banners and then wayfinding all at the same time. So it's one cohesive package that we're using in a branding pattern for all of our events, but then for each individual event. Because one of the things that I think that I know everybody on this board has commented privately about it, I think, not to throw you all into the bus, but also citizens, is that, and we saw this with the actual pedestrian mall last year, is that we have a look that doesn't look celebratory necessarily. It kind of just looks like we threw it on the street and did it. And if we could get that kind of cohesive patterning together now and invest in some banners and things that could be used over and over again, and then some banners that we are just doing and put it in the budget for every event that we do, banners that match with the what we're doing online. And I just wanted to get that out there before I forgot about it. I think that now that we have Katie and Kyle doing things like this in different groups, it's time to really invest in that part of it. Or Kyle not, maybe not Kyle, I don't know. I just made a sad face. But anyway, I want to put that on the calendar for this year for all of our events. I think it's a structural point that we're missing. That's it.
Yep. Good points. 2021 to-do list.
Yeah.
Wayfinding. Kevin?
Speaking of to-do list, street light pole banners.
Oh.
I think I failed to include that on the agenda. So at some point, if we can make a little bit of time in this meeting, there's an update.
Okay, we'll get that on.
Thank you.
What else do you guys want to tackle for 2021? And if we need to start with Memorial Day and then keep this on the agenda for the next meeting to let everyone think about it, that's fine too. I will tell you that I have been approached by a couple of citizens who, I don't know why they sought me out, but they wanted to make sure that if we do intend on closing 6th Street again, that it had better be much better than it was, and that they don't want us to in the first place, but if we do it, that it had better be much improved.
Or else.
That was the synopsis.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
We need buy-in.
What does much improved look like to these folks?
Well, open would be the most improved, but the second would be wayfinding, and I mean, there's a lot. I mean, honestly, if this is something that we're going to undertake, if the Board of Selectmen, I'll look at, I feel like I hate that I can't look at everyone's eyes. If it was going to be undertaken and the Board of Selectmen was going to do that, I would think we would need to dedicate, honestly, a whole separate sub-meeting to the bullet points of everything that needs to happen to make it look really good. And I don't think this meeting is the time and place, but I thought I would throw it out just in case. Kent, do you have anything to add?
One thing is that we did include in the 2021 budget the purchasing of bollards that some members of this commission were really emphatic to make sure that was a part of it, and we included it in the budget. I have not gone out and gotten that RFP in the first 5 days of January yet, so apologize for that hasn't been done. But as we go forward with the bollards and with the other stuff, yes, I agree that much more comprehensive regarding if we're going to close it for the pedestrian mall, whether it's for short times or long times, would be helpful as far as making sure we meet most of the criteria. I don't think we'll be able to reach all of the criteria that some folks will want regarding a pedestrian mall, but to reach as many as we can in order to make it happen. So,
come on, Ken. It's January 6th.
Get it together.
Oh, I got it. One more day. Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to say one thing about the appearance of the Ped Mall, and Kent, I want you to listen very closely. Frankly, I was very impressed by the town's reactivity to the request. I saw Kent out there with moving barrels around. I think their response was quick. I think they did as much as they could, navigating unknown territory as any of us could expect. So I think that the criticism is a little severe. He jumped right in with his workforce, the town workforce. I saw it with my own eyes, and I just want to acknowledge that. I think for a first swipe at this, they did a great job, and we can all do better. That's the thing. We can all do better, and we all should do better. But I'll tell you what, we reached our goal, which was keeping people safe.
Yeah.
So aesthetics aside, we reached our goal. So Kent, thank you.
Thank you.
That's the truth right there. That is what it comes down to. It was definitely a health and safety issue. And unfortunately, I think that we will still never convince some of our fellow merchants of that, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, and one other group, Amanda, I do want to make a plug for is that helped make it happen was the Garden Club made made an effort as well regarding that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think criticism needs to be internalized. I have three things to throw on that agenda, just throw on the checklist that are events that we do normally, and I think that we can do them this year. Mountain Jams I already mentioned. So we've had two of them already mentioned: Memorial, Mountain Jams, and Sheep Festival. Because I think by November we should be back to some semblance of festival.
And then maybe this is a good time. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Gary,
yeah,
go ahead.
we had I had put Mustang Club.
I was
So-
going to ask, that's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah, so basically, speaking of closing 6th Street, so the Mustang Club seems to be a kind of an annual thing they want to do with us, which I think is very good, solid, positive. It seems that they want to do it in July this year. Typically, they do it the weekend after Memorial Weekend. And maybe July is better for the town from the perspective of if you're going to close the pedestrian mall Memorial Weekend, maybe it gives a little bit of a breather before you close it again for the cars, assuming the commission wants to move forward with having them do it. So they're proposing to come in on July. I would be happy to help coordinate that directly with them, as I have in the past, to bring the cars into town and make sure they get all parked properly. So
That's awesome.
There's also the 4th of July as an event.
Yeah, Steve, so when in July? Is it around the same, is it the beginning of July or mid-July? Steve Skalski?
Oh, I'm sorry. They weren't specific. I am actually going back and forth on email right now, and it seems like their president wants to do it in July. So if the commission has some recommendations, I can take that back to them. I think they typically do it on if I'm not mistaken, a Saturday. Because they drive over the pass, and a lot of things are weather dependent too.
Sorry, I'm muting my phone. Jan, go ahead.
Some of these events, like the Mustang Club, it might be a good idea to kind of package with, make sure Mountain Jams is maybe going on that weekend. If we want to have vendors, depending on if the park is under a refresh or whatever. But to have some other things to maybe bring, because we do feel like we can invite people into town by this summer. Have some other activities going on that would bring people into town so they would see the Mustangs. They would also, because the Mustang people don't really get out away from their car. But if we can bring Denver up to Georgetown to see the Mustangs and to go into businesses, that would be beneficial.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Jan, because like in the past, we've scrambled at the last minute, of course, because I was in charge of it and I keep dropping balls, but you have a little we put together care packages for them, and we've handed to them where the merchants have had a chance to put their discount coupons in it and whatnot. But
I don't think they use those.
Yeah, good point. But hopefully Katie can put her promotions creativity cap on, because you're absolutely right. They'll sit by their cars. The cars are the show. So how do we help them promote the fact that the cars are there?
Amanda, can I jump in here a sec?
Absolutely.
This is more directed for Katie, and I'm not trying to throw way more onto you than what you're trying to embrace as you start off on this great position as coordinator. But I'm really excited for you. There's so many other organizations, and Paul can attest to this, and others on this board, myself, that sponsor, coordinate events in Georgetown. And so when that big calendar goes together, and I think the Mustang Club is, a good segue for it. I know the Heritage Center puts on plein air at the end of July. And so you need to be aware, and all these organizations need to throw this out to you. So however we get the word out, you get that word out to them so that we as a town are aware of all these different things that are going on. And not that you're necessarily involved in the coordination of it, but you might be, on the side or whatever. So however you wanted to arrange for that so that you have that information flowing to you, and then we see, because we do obviously want to market all of Georgetown, and even if it's the Heritage Center that's sponsoring it, we want the Heritage Center to do their marketing, and we want Georgetown to do the marketing. So so that was just my 2 cents. So
that's a very valid 2 cents. It's probably the biggest challenge we've had.
3 cents. It was 3 cents.
It was like a nickel, Mary.
Like I would love more than anything to, and this is probably super easy, and like we just need to put some brains together to make it happen. But compiling a timeline of when things happen, what weeks they happen, in what months, and then I kind of have this outline to work off of, and I'm able to see further into the future. And when I'm slower on something, I can then reach out maybe to the next thing and kind of stay on top of things months in advance, so that if, let's say Georgetown Days happens in May, in the beginning of April, I'm telling businesses, like, make sure you're telling your customers and your social platforms that this event is happening, and get on people's radar far much more in advance. One example, me and Kyle were talking about it, and I use them as an example a lot, and I'm sorry, but in Durango, there's an event called Snowdown, and they start talking about next year's Snowdown like the next week after it's done. And I really believe that's what makes these events so successful, because we can use Christmas market as an example in our small town. Christmas market's talked about in February, March, April, like as far as, when customers are asking, like, what goes on in the winter here? What is there to do? We're saying, the first 2 weekends of December, we should be talking, like as a community, we should be talking about those events as often as possible, in as much advance as possible. And so I think something that would be super easy to do, maybe just with a little bit more brain power, because I'm not aware of when every event happens. Like Bighorn Sheep Festival, for example, I know it happens around the fall, late fall, but I don't know positively what dates those are. So and I don't mind if everyone blows up my email telling me this event happens this, I can create my own timeline and put them all in order. And then I know what's happening. And then I know how far out advance I need to be focusing on an event. And I'm not thinking about Bighorn Sheep Festival in February. I'm thinking about it in May when I'm ready to plan for it. So if everyone doesn't mind shooting off, helping me compile that list, and then I can put something together, send it out to everybody, and everyone can just review it and let me know if I'm missing something. I think that'd be really easy, and that would really organize me. So I'd really
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on those 2 notes, the Sheep Festival, by the way, Katie, is a town partnership event.
Okay.
So it's it is one of our events. And it's the second weekend of November. And we start planning for it in the near future.
Yeah.
I think that Mary is absolutely correct with that. And it might mean getting we'll find out how much volunteer time you have available for yourself too. But for some other organizations, but if you're such an organized person and you have such a grip on where this is going, if you could, for the future and for however we build with it as you're doing this, and I don't consider, since we're not, creating yourself a timeline and create yourself a process manual so that you're templating your timelines and your process for events and different kinds of events, because they each have a different timeline.
Yeah.
The bigger ones are longer and the other ones are shorter. Yeah. That way there's a process, a project management process for everybody, for every event. But if you ever leave, or we end up with enough events, you end up with a staff, things like that. And, these events also, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves, because if people don't spend money that day on events are about keeping this town looking alive. And yes, we do have residual from some events that day of. but it's about other days. So about getting people here all the time and knowing that we've got stuff going on and that we're a lively town. And that's the full goal. So I think that we do a good job of that, frankly.
Well,
But that timeline thing I think is vital.
Yeah, and the process manual will help streamline events in the future. So if we know what we did last year and what worked, then it'll work the next year and we just can improve upon. So I'm totally into stuff like that. I will definitely put my eyes on that.
Katie, do you know Cassandra?
I don't.
We have no video of her right now. Maybe she will turn her video on. She's listening. Cass, say hi.
Hi.
Katie, Cassandra, Katie.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
So Cassandra is the Clear Creek County Tourism Director. So she's the oracle of all things Clear Creek. And so maybe if now that you two have met each other Zoom virtually, if you two wanted to connect, I've always found Cass to be a really great resource, and she's always been very supportive of our commission and our town. So, and Clear Creek is obviously our county, but her resources are free to us so like her video, her library of her digital library, all of that is available to us. And she's got a lot of great content. And one of the big goals I think we've talked about since I've been around is having a master calendar for Clear Creek County that we can all use, because it feels like sometimes we don't know what's happening over like in Idaho Springs, for example, or even Empire when they do some of their stuff. So if you guys want to touch base,
Yeah,
we
and
know each other.
I work on the calendar a lot. I'm actually working on it right now. So trying to find out when all the races are happening and things. And I made a comment of, when you guys do schedule the Mustang races, to make sure that there's no foot races on Guanella that day, so that they can drive the pass.
Races.
But yeah, I'm happy to help in different capacities and depending on what you need. And I'm really happy they hired you. I know I met you a couple times at the brewery and you have really great energy. And so I'm really excited that you're a part of this team. So nice to meet you.
Well, thank you. And I think Amanda just cursed you because now I'm going to be in your email. But very nice to meet you, Cassandra.
Cassandra, thank you so much for listening in. We always appreciate it. If you don't go anywhere anytime soon, because I want to ask you a couple things here a little bit down.
That's fine. I'm multitasking, Amanda,
totally.
which is why. Okay.
You're good. No worries. Is there anything else right now for the 2021 calendar that you guys want to get on the agenda today? Obviously, Georgetown Days is a big priority. Is there anything else? I'm sure that things will come up as this goes forward, and we'll just leave this on next month's agenda as well and give Katie some time to get organized with her planning and her to-do list. But if there's anything pressing.
If I could say one thing, what about 4th of July?
I wrote it down.
So I have that down too.
Yeah. When you say, hopefully, yeah, because that's a huge event. And if we can revitalize that for summer, that's a really special event for town. And there's other stuff I thought of while we were talking to, like the chili cook-off that happened a couple of years ago that was a fundraiser. That was super fun. And there's obviously, I know Gary at one point talked about doing like an Aspen Days festival in September, which is always, really busy for us, but it's all good stuff. There's a lot of things that we can get on this calendar. And if we have an event a month or even 2 events a month in the summer, some are bigger, some are smaller, that's good for town. And that will bring people here. And then, the ultimate goal is that on a slightly warmish February day when they're bored at home, they're like, oh, well, we could just go up to Georgetown and have lunch and walk around and see the sights. And that's, we're not going to blow doors off anything, but we're doing something. Go ahead, Steve.
One thing that comes to mind, and I brought it up when we had the tree lighting ceremony, is that an opportunity for us to take something that is very sad and make it positive, meaning and tie it into promoting Christmas market in the summer or whenever Kent and his team are going to be removing the tree. Do we make it kind of a quote unquote new beginning. I don't know if there's plans to, and I know it ties into Strauss Park perhaps in the plans, but it'd be great to say, this tree has served us well over the years, and here, here's what we are going to do to replace the tree and all of that.
In the lit vigil.
I have this vision of like a Viking funeral for the tree on the lake, but that was just weird.
Ooh, can I suggest something?
Oh,
Kind of,
God.
stupid, but maybe not. You know how a lot of people, when they go out and they get their real Christmas tree every year, and you take a slice off the bottom of it and you save it for all your Christmases that you've experienced? What if we sold as a donation little slice? Well, I mean, some people.
That's awesome. I have I seriously do this.
So,
Yeah.
It may cost us a little extra, but maybe, for $5 or whatever. I mean,
That'd be adorable.
it might be a little, so anyway. Okay, you're the event coordinator. You run with that,
That's
girl.
a really good idea.
Great
I
idea.
actually love it. I think that's hilarious and super, I don't know. It's a special tree, guys.
It is a special tree. Kevin has his hand up.
Just a few quick things. One, always invent news. And so I think that this is an opportunity. So for sure, Steve. Two, I conducted a funeral for a tree once in my career. So these things do happen. And part of that was giving a piece of the tree away. We took twigs and put them in baggies with a picture of the tree at its prime and gave them away. But also that big storm that was in Iowa recently. There's a National Trust site that lost a bunch of trees. What they did was they took what's called a cookie. And so that wafer slice, like Mary's describing, they took those cookies and then they took an ink roller, rolled it across the face of the cookie, and then made prints.
Wow.
So instead of taking a piece of the tree, it was actually a frameable print, almost like, old time printing presses where you would ink the blocks. And that was done. And
That's so cool.
I don't know if they sold those or gave them away. But it's much more portable. I think it's something people would hold on to longer than a piece of wood.
Right.
And it was very attractive. So
Cool.
just some thoughts.
That's super cool. This is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is there a timeline, Kent, for the removal of our current Tannenbaum?
I don't have a timeline for removing the tree, but it will happen once it warms up. But I did have a suggestion from another resident about taking down the tree and then overnight planting the new tree so that it's a very short time period. I don't know if that could actually be accomplished or not, but if we have the new tree ready to go, have it within a very short time period so that to someone who doesn't come down once a week or something, they would just happen to see a new tree when they got there.
Yeah.
And they also suggested having some sort of ceremony for the, like how Kevin says, a funeral for the tree, but ceremony for what the tree has meant to Georgetown over the last 60 years. 70 years.
Birthday or Arbor Day or something, we could tie it all into that too.
That's really cool. All right. Well, that's a good calendar, everybody. We got a lot going on, but I think, in some respects we will take, it's not a good thing. We're in the boat that we're in, but it is a positive thing that we have the time for Katie to be able to regroup and get organized. And we're not diving into a lot of things off the cuff because we need some time to get, the goals of the commission met and ultimately get Georgetown back where we like it, which is Memorial Day is a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
So does anything else? Oh, sorry. Was someone talking? We'll leave 2021 calendar on the next agenda, just in case there's anything that anyone needs to add. And then we'll have or to-do list rather, and we'll go from there. Kent just typed in the chat, I am Georgetown Groot.
I saw that.
That's awesome. Okay.
I Googled it, so I know what it is now.
I Googled it.
You had to Google that? Okay. All right, so we had a couple of additions to the agenda today. I think we covered the Mustang Club. Mary, do you want to talk? Let's do should we do the lodging tax next? I think I'm looking at the agenda on my phone, unfortunately, because I don't have. So the discussion about the lodging tax is basically a tax that would be a hospitality tax or a lodging tax that would be charged at obviously places like Rose Street, the hotels, as well as VRBOs, and that would actually fund us. So, yeah.
Well stated and right to the point. And so the only timeline that I'm aware of is on the Board of Selectmen is that we would need to approve whether we were going to put that issue on the ballot. That there is a spring ballot in April, and the deadline is mid-February. So again, because this would be used for help funding BPC and Katie and all of the things that she is going to do far beyond the scope of what she, it was a big secret when you guys hired her as to what she would be involved in, but it would give you guys more money. And so we had postponed it last year or the year before, whatever, especially in light of what's happened. Anyway, you guys can help me out here. I just didn't want you guys to miss the deadline if this was something that you wanted to go forward with here. And I'm just, before I shut up and let Kent talk more about this, when we did this a couple of years ago and had the park tax, it was phenomenal how much revenue that brought in. And then we actually exceeded what we had anticipated as far as tax revenue and did that little refund through water bills. So I would just suggest that you think big if you go with it, and whatever the amount is. The county does have a hospitality tax, but that doesn't help us out directly. So
that's what funds Cassandra. I know Justin has his hand up, but we'll let Kent go, and then Justin. This is obviously his wheelhouse.
Yeah, we had put it off last year because during this situation we've been in for the last year, it was not seen as a good issue to have on the ballot. We had decided that in the summer, not to have it on the November ballot, or not as likely to have on the November ballot. So we left the question alone. We do have a town election in the first week of April. And in order to put it on the ballot, it would need to be approved to go on the ballot in February. One of the keys, though, is that this commission would need to be solidly in favor of the Board of Selectmen putting it on the ballot. So, and the suggestion was to have, since there is already a lodging tax that is used for the county tourism, that's 2%. And there has been concerns raised both by members of this board and other folks as far as, are we reaching the limit? And that is a concern regarding the tax structure. But with the new hotel, which should be opening, it may be opening, the building inspection told me they're reaching the end of their building inspection. So it might even be within the next week that they will open. They're that close to their finals. Was to have, if we were going to add a lodging tax to help support promotions commission, now is the time to do it, or as close to the opening of the new hotel as possible. And that was some of the justification that came for it. There is a concern regarding the amount of sales tax and lodging tax that is charged to people that obviously visit here, and the totals of that that is added to their bill. The problem that the folks that would like to see some other revenue source for promotions come forward is that you know, we're doing these things with the Promotions Commission to encourage people to come here, is that in order to support those activities, should we have the townsfolk pay for those through their taxes in order to generate this? And sometimes it comes out through sales. Right now, we're doing it partially through sales tax and partially through business licenses to support Promotions Commission. It is hard to generate significantly more revenues in order to support additional activities through the Promotions Commission. And that's why this idea has come forward. And I'm just giving you the outline, not pros and cons regarding it, but some of the reasoning behind it.
For sure.
And in order for a ballot issue to pass, even in these difficult times, this board would need to be solidly behind it, as well as the Board of Selectmen. Can that happen within the next several weeks and be ready for an election that happens in April? That's the question. And Justin can speak to as being a lodging owner regarding that.
Yeah, my first question was just, can someone, Kent or Mary, I just want a summary of what the details of that tax look like, or is there somewhere online that I can go and read up about what's currently on the table?
I don't have a proposed ordinance in front of me. I can have one within a week or two. That would show that. The basic idea that's been put forward, and then it'll be put in the formal language, would be just an additional 1% lodging tax that would be dedicated to this purpose. So.
And would that change the county lodging tax at all?
No, it would just be an addition.
Okay, thank you.
Does Idaho Springs have a separate lodging tax? Do we know?
Not that I know of.
That's on a public.
And I think we can look into, what Summit County does as far as any lodging tax that they have and the percentages, and and obviously they're a different size. In Golden, if you do any shopping, okay, I was at the Harley store a couple of days ago, and there's a special tax for that improvement area that they've done right around C470 and 70 there, where we've seen all that up a couple of years ago. And so
the PIF tax.
Right. So if you're down there and you're purchasing anything, you're well above 10% in taxes now. And and there is a limited time to it too, if I'm not mistaken, or we would designate that limited time. I just wanted to make sure that your commission was aware of this, whether this is the right time or not to do this. And then if we don't proceed as a town on this for the spring election, we wouldn't have the opportunity to do it again until what, 2 years down the line? When's the next election that comes up? I mean, I think it would be.
I don't think the county has one in the fall, but I'm not 100% certain.
So we'd be pushing it
and
off.
then it would be the following fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Summit County imposes a 5.5% lodging tax on hotels and short inns and things. They impose 6.375% on all short-term rentals, and that would be rentals that go up to 30 days. Frisco itself does a 2.43% tax on top of the countywide lodging taxes. Dillon does a 2%. Many of our neighbors, Aspen, 2%. It's 2%, not 1%, that a lot of municipalities seem to put on these. We have had lodging owners, come to us with suggestions of different kinds of giveaways and things that we can do to bring people in if they stay in inns or hotels or B&Bs. And all of those places that do those things have a lodging tax, tend to have a chamber fee and things that underwrite them without having such a lodging tax. And I think it should be 2%. We are hobbled in what we can do as a commission. I would vote for, I would be in favor, and as a citizen would vote for a 2% lodging tax. And I would also vote for an additional tax put on short-term rentals in order to keep up with our neighbors.
I think the question that I would pose to like Justin, for example, is a 1% lodging tax. Do you think that that would deter someone and send them to a different destination?
Yeah, just anecdotally, from what we hear from our guests, you would be surprised. I certainly was surprised how often the issue of the amount of tax is brought up when they are when they're reserving their rooms. So I definitely think it is an issue, and I think it is a deterrent for people. Some people, not all people. I don't know what that percentage is. I don't know if we're an apples to apples comparison to Summit County as far as the power of the attraction here. But my feeling, just, you know, as a inn owner, the last several years, it has been brought up enough for me that it is a definite concern. And that should be a concern to everybody, because if we're discouraging guests from coming to Georgetown based on the total amount of tax, and I'm not just talking about the town tax, but you know, the county, the state, everything else that gets on. It's definitely something that should be discussed and brought up.
Well, and I believe that we have a 2% lodging tax right now. So if you were to implement 2%, then that doubles the tax.
Yeah.
So
Close to 3. Yeah. If we did 1%, be 3% lodging. This is a hard question, because the reality is we do not have enough. We can't fund bigger things without another revenue source. And the only way that we get revenue is from sales, is from taxes. And we, from what I understand, don't have the option to draw more sales tax than what we already get, which is not a significant amount. We get obviously the portion of the business license fees, which who knows what, you know, that will look like for us this year. So if we didn't have a lodging tax, what are our other options to generate revenue if we can't draw from sales tax? And that would be the question I would ask.
Can I ask a quick question? Has this been socialized with with Brittany down at the hotel, and does she have an opinion on this?
Talked with her several months ago. I haven't talked recently with her about it, but brought it up, and you know, their reaction was mixed. It was okay. It could happen. They would prefer it not, of course, but it was not a strong reaction one way or the other, because it's more a town issue than for their business. They will just operate either way. They'll have to operate with or without it. So
I've worked in multiple hotels, and I will say the first one I worked in charged 8% transient or lodging tax, and this was in the 80s when no one had taxes that high. And while people complained, we still remained 100% occupied. And I've had the same experience in the other hotels that I worked in. People might say something, but it didn't affect our overall occupancy rates. Just as anecdotal. And I've looked back at those same municipalities to see that they still have the same lodging rates. And just to put that out there.
Go ahead, Jan. You're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. It makes sense also to have the short-term, the Vrbo type, to have a higher proportion. Because when I go online and rent a Vrbo, you look for the place, you find the place, you like the place, and then you see the tax rate or whatever. I've never like said, oh, well, that's too high. I'm not going to stay at this place I like. You know what I mean? I feel like people are going to want to come here, pick the place out, stay there, and they'll pay the tax. Just my thought.
Kyle?
I apologize, but we just have a firm stop at 10. We got to jump into another meeting. So appreciate all you guys. And if there's anything quick that you'd like us to touch on before we go, let me know.
No, I think we gave you enough to do today. You have, I mean, I'm sure we could come up with a couple more things, but I think you guys have a pretty full plate. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Bye. I think, so I would like us to have a discussion about this and get something like on, we need to obviously make a decision pretty quickly, but unfortunately where this landed on the agenda feels a little bit rushed today. And because there is a lot to consider. Again, I know I've said this once, but I think it bears repeating, is that unless we have another funding source, I truthfully don't see another option for us to avoid this. Because I know that I don't think that town has the ability to divert funds from sales tax any more than we already have, especially with some of the scope of the projects that they have on their plate. I don't know 100% what they are, but I know that our budget has kind of systematically not been worn down over the years, but there's been things that have been taken out of our budget to supplement other things and things that have come out of general fund. And so knowing that we need to get marketing as a priority, and honestly being able to look at putting somebody like Katie full-time or being able to hire another person is really crucial to the end game of this commission having longevity and success. But I mean, as it stands right now, Katie is realistically only able to work, or should only be working 20 hours a week at a pretty menial rate, honestly. And we're lucky that we're getting her for what she's being paid. And that is something that, in order for us to grow as a town and a commission, we got to find revenues to do that. And it's definitely a chicken and egg problem. If this solution is going to turn tourists away from us, though, then that's obviously not the right solution. So I think we should defer this to like the first agenda item on the next agenda and make it, and we would have a priority to vote that day. And then that would give us time to get organized, as long as that gives you guys, Kent and Mary, enough time to get it on the Board of Selectmen agenda. What agenda does it have to be on to make the April ballot?
It would have to be at the first meeting in February. As far as the board, I would,
is that
from
the
a
9th?
public, yeah, from the public viewpoint, yes, that would be February 9th. The promotion meeting is February 3rd. But I'd also want to I'd probably bring it up as a discussion topic that you guys are considering to do this at the Board of Selectmen meeting so that it starts getting out in the public, percolating as a possibility, just because it doesn't, I don't want it to appear so rushed that, actually this has been talked about for a little while, at least the concept of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is still there that we're trying to address. It's not just because of COVID. It's a structural issue for the town of trying to provide the resources necessary to allow this to occur. And start getting that back and seeing what the comments would get back from the community, which, what type of criticisms. So part of that can be answered because you're going to have to include that within the ballot issue. The people that are for the ballot issue and the people that are against the ballot issue get put on the ballot issue in Colorado. So we need to start gathering that type of information and be able to answer the objections that come up. We're going to try to make this successful. That's one of the things that we'll need to do. So,
Jan, go ahead.
So I'm a little confused. Is it up to us to decide like the percentages we want to ask for, or will we have a package and know, well, we're asking for 1%. I mean, if we vote on something, we have to know what we're voting on.
Yeah, and staff, we need to put something together as far as an estimated amount of what it would generate. And we could have that, I'll be hoping within a couple weeks we could probably do it quicker than that, but My treasurer is leaving for next week. So we'll see if we can get it done. What's the estimated amount of return that we would get with either 1% or 2%, and that will help 3%. That will help what should be proposed. If there's people in favor of it, and I'm not, guarantee that everybody would be in favor of it, but, or even a majority would be in favor of it, but that's part of the information we need to have. So, and then also a comparison, just what Paul was rattling off real quick, the comparison to Summit and Grand, Eagle counties, or other neighboring communities. The combination of sales, lodging, what are all the taxes that get stacked on to someone?
The other question I would have, and this can obviously come up maybe when you guys get this packet done, is when this would take effect? Or would that would be something you guys would put into the ordinance?
Yeah, and then you can have it start, most of the time it'd either be at the middle, that July 1st or
July 1st
or January 1st of next year, of the 22. So.
Well, obviously this is a really important conversation topic, and because and I definitely think we need to weigh this out, knowing that we do need funding sources to get, unfortunately it costs money to make money, but we need to make sure this is the right move. So we'll dedicate a lot of time to this on the next agenda and hopefully have a written ordinance from the town that we can read. And the one thing that is helpful is that ultimately it will be up to, the voters in April to make that decision. That is the beauty of Tabor in Colorado. Love it or hate it.
A real quick comment though, if I personally feel good about the fact that this commission, more so than ever, under Amanda's leadership, is on the right path, and the money that can be potentially raised from this source, unless there's another source, which it doesn't sound like, that money is going to be incredibly put to great use. And I think you'll be able to definitely over time get an ROI on the fact that, having the use of the money in the hands of this commission, I just think, versus going into a black hole or going somewhere else, really, in my opinion, gets me excited about the fact that we can start funding a lot of these things we have been talking about for several years now.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. But we need money. That's important. So we will table this until the February 3rd meeting, and it will be on the top of our agenda. Before we review the minutes, I was gonna give Cass, we are past time, it's 10:08, so we'll be quick. I was gonna see if Cassandra wanted to give us any updates on what the county is doing, so we can put that on our radar, and then we'll review the minutes.
Thank you. We are regrouping for 21, just trying to figure out what the strategy is. We have our board meeting. We moved them to the 3rd Tuesday, so we're still a little ways out for our January meeting, and we'll review all of our options then. I know we're planning to do a new visitor guide, so we're going to start working on that and hopefully get that out first part of spring. The new website's done really well. The to-go campaign is going really well. The Santa sacks and stockings has done well. I just got data in on the big geofencing campaign we're running. So I haven't looked at that yet, but we've been targeting ski traffic that lives in the Front Range. So really looking at that repeat customer and trying to get them to frequent our businesses in the county. Plan to go see Amy and Brittany at the new hotel later this week and capture some images and really do some marketing for that new hotel. Very excited about that. And catching up on almost 2,000 emails. I took 2 weeks off and boom. So going to be working on that for a little bit longer. But overall, things are really well. And keeping our social media presence strong and working on getting the events calendar updated and trying to see what special events are going to be returning in 21, or at least planning to right now. So, so lots of different things happening, but that's kind of it for now. Do you guys have any questions on any of those projects?
The To Go campaign's really cool.
Thank you. I'm excited. I mean, I'm hoping that it's helping some of the businesses, and I'm glad that we're back to 25% capacity versus nothing inside. But you know, anything helps right now, I think, is where we're at. So it's a very sobering time. And I'm ready for us to keep moving forward. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
I guess I have one question for you, Amanda. Have you seen any business directly from the campaign? Do you know?
No, I just heard about it on Facebook last week, but I was talking to a couple of business owners in Idaho Springs, and they were saying really good things about it. So I'll be paying closer attention to the tracking on that, but because I honestly didn't know it existed until I saw it on Facebook. I was like, oh, but I know Lindsay Valdez was talking about it, and she was really stoked on it. So
interesting. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you weren't aware of the campaign. So
I was also buried in email situation stuff and trying to keep things. Once we got open for dine-in, I kind of went off the map for a couple of weeks because I was working a lot. So it was also probably on me. So no big deal.
Well, thank you. And you guys are doing a great job. And it's been fun to see how promotions has evolved over the years. So I give you guys a high five too. Thank you for all your work.
Well, thank you. We appreciate your support. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm real quick, Amanda, on COVID-19.
Oh, thank you.
It's important, and I know we're over time, but it's important for this commission, I think, to just make sure it remains on the forefront. My comments are coming from the fact that a lot of us had gotten calls from the police on New Year's Eve, kind of a gut punch, not because the police were calling us, but because of why they were calling us, with allegations that a lot of the restaurants were not complying with 25% capacity. It was the complaints were very anecdotal. And I appreciate the fact that I think Kent's staff, his police department, handled it very appropriately. I appreciated my conversation with the police. And I think they had the right answers for me. So thank you. But for me, call me old school. When someone calls the police on me, I take it phenomenally serious. And so the county, my understanding from yesterday's county meeting is that the Clear Creek at this time is not going to be pursuing a 5-star program, which
I wouldn't say that yet. Hold tight. That last part.
Say again.
We'll talk. There's some movement. I don't know if yes, officially today, there is no 5-star program, but there's been a couple of emails this morning, and I don't know if you saw those. We'll talk on the side.
No, I have not seen them, so I'm probably not on them. But my point still stands. If there's not a 5-star county program today, it's really up to the business owners to continue to comply with the state and county guidelines. And for anybody who is making a complaint to the police, based upon seeing cars in parking lots, seeing anecdotal information as they're driving by and looking in someone's window, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of us that have a dedicated incredible amount of time, effort, and hours working with Dr. Ryan at the county level. and making sure that we are doing everything to comply with things. And so I just wanted to go on record to say that I appreciate the fact that whoever may be making the calls and making the allegations are I can only assume their intentions are good. And I just want to make sure the police staff, which it sounds like they do, have the right, they have the ability to comment back, because there's 25% capacity indoors. That doesn't mean someone isn't allowed to walk indoors with their mask on and go to the bathroom, or several of them. Some of our places are very small, so it looks a little bit more crowded than it would be, but there is still 6-foot distancing going on in between parties. In my example, I'm still allowed to sell beer to go if I've got full capacity indoors and the weather's inclement for someone to sit outside. They're allowed to walk up to the bar with their masks on and order beer as long as they're socially distancing. So you can't do head counts, you can't do parking lot counts, and draw a conclusion that people like us running our businesses are being negligent and careless. So that's simply the point I wanted to make. Thank you, Amanda.
No, for sure. And that is that in the time of COVID, it's been challenging, and I'm happy that our local authorities were cognizant of the fact that we're all doing what we need to do, and we're doing it legally. So yes, but hey, hopefully we have some brighter horizons and can get everyone vaccinated and get back to living. That would be awesome. In the meantime, minutes. That's the last thing on our agenda today. We are a little over. I apologize. Did anyone see anything in the minutes that is pressing? Anybody? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from December 2nd? No, the minutes shall never be approved. We're all going to stay here all day.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks, Gary. Woo!
Yeah, motion to approve the minutes from December 2nd.
And can I get a second? You guys are killing me.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Come on, guys, it's not that hard.
It's really not. Just say moved and seconded. We can all get on. Awesome. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
The voting part.
Aye.
Awesome. Minutes from December 2nd are approved. All right. It is 10:17. Is anyone going to make a motion to adjourn, or do I have to do that?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for your time. You're awesome. That was my weird first meeting. I'll get better.
You did great. You did great.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
I've been
Happy
doing
New
enough of
Year.
these. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, all. Have a great day.